Welcome back after a long hiatus to the
Yeah,
Blue Hour.
well deserved. These boys have been just hanging on the beach, Tahiti, here we were.
It has been, I realize we probably haven't recorded in 3 weeks or a month just from traveling and moving and work being freaking crazy.
Yeah,
Um,
seriously.
schedules being way off.
Yeah, but you
What
look
has
better than
happened to
ever.
you in the last month?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much the same. I thought you were talking about me. I did. I also moved, and I also traveled a lot, and your jobs have changed.
Yeah.
I've gained a client. My job. I have another job too, I guess you could say.
Oh, yeah, right?
But yeah, it's been great. I mean, every week I always look forward to it, and then we like for one reason or another don't do it. And I honestly thought this week was gonna be the same, so I'm glad to be back.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
Good to be back. We came in with we have zero topics. We're going to try
that's
a new
right.
experiment. Yeah.
I want to
Um,
hear it. Do I need to go back into allow you to share your screen?
no, I think I should be able to.
Okay, cool.
Let me see. Can you see this?
No, that's the thing. Hold on, but we can make this work. Let's go, baby. We're doing it live.
So it should be showing you at least the ChatGPT screen.
In the studio, you got to be able to add it. Let's find you here, baby. Bang! There we go.
Nice. All right, cool. So we're going to do something we've never done before, which is ask ChatGPT what our topic should be for the week. So is there anything in particular you want to ask about?
No, I'd like to see the way that you approach this. We
Yeah.
literally thought about this for a couple seconds, and I like the idea.
I'm actually just going to make it easy and use our tool that I built and that you're helping me with, Prompt
Yeah,
Perfect. So uh, we need topics for a podcast where we discuss AI. We don't have any current information, and we don't want to dig into things that are too technical.
maybe we should say we can't. I'm just kidding.
Give us, 3 to 5 discussion points that we could discuss regardless of our level of knowledge on the topics.
Awesome.
Boom. All right, let's see if AI works.
This is
Also,
great. Did you zoom in on the screen?
no, I put it in my side menu thing, which is
Cool, cool.
it makes it a little weird the way that it's displayed, but it'll be fine.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, topics. The ethical implications of AI. Discuss the moral and ethical questions that arise from
Ooh,
widespread use of
interesting.
AI. Data privacy, job displacement, decision-making algorithms, AI in everyday life,
Hmm,
future of AI. Oh yeah, there's some good ones.
some really good ones. Do
Yeah.
you mind going up to the what the perfect yielded?
Oh yeah. So this is what we asked. We need
Yeah,
topics, blah blah. You saw it. We are seeking suggest in it. So the app that we've built changed it to we are seeking suggestions for discussion topics for our AI focused podcast. Currently, we lack information on the subject and wish to avoid delving into overly technical aspects. Please provide 3 to 5 discussion points that are suitable for individuals with varying levels of knowledge on AI.
pretty similar to what you wrote, but
Yeah, maybe a little bit
succinct.
more elegantly put
Yeah.
instead of give us 3 to 5 discussion points. Yeah, provide 3 to 5 discussion points. Yeah, I'd say that's suitable and a
Yeah, I
good
agree.
output. Sweet, dude. Let's talk about the ethical implications of AI.
Gosh.
Yeah. Let's start at the end with decision-making algorithms, which I don't really know what a decision-making algorithm is, but I'm assuming it is like, algorithms that decide uh, through AI, like what to do. Like, this ChatGPT just made a decision on what it put in here with the ethical implications of AI first.
Hmm.
So, decision to put that first instead of democratization of AI or the future of AI. There's like ways that AI makes decisions that most users probably don't care about, but also
Hmm.
don't look into. Um, I guess I can stop sharing this too.
I'm gonna close out of this browser then, because I can hear it echo. It's breaking my heart.
Oh no.
There we go.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Talk about how AI makes decisions. What do you think about that? There are
It,
ethical implications there?
absolutely. I think that makes me think of like the legal realm, because my I spoke to my father a little bit about what AI is such a like a news topic. I'm not sure, like a current event, like it's happening in real time, and it's very sort of trendy. I think it has been for a few, like 5 6 months now, and there's this interesting sort of like dissection happening from the legal world, and I don't know that much about it. We've spoken a little bit about the ethical implications of like what constitutes um, personalization of thought, and like my own unique thought, and what it is that's mine versus something that's like regurgitated through an algorithm that then like aggregates a lot of other thoughts, and then also art, obviously. But when it comes to like the ability for somebody to like peruse, or like ask ChatGPT as if it was an oracle, or at least as if it were an oracle about specific legal topics, and then use those as the actual facts, is obviously not the way you should use it, because there's so many inaccuracies,
Yeah.
like commonly called hallucinations. And so I think that there's like a big problem with people misunderstanding what it is and then misusing it and thinking that they're like, oh, I'm in the clear. No one's going to know that I did this, when in reality, the underlying facts are incorrect, like just straight up wrong.
Yeah.
So it makes me think of that, but and that's like not really a moral thing as much as it's just like people misunderstanding how to use the tool. But
Yeah. Well, that
that's
kind
like how I've heard about it. But
yeah. Is it ethical to try and have AI do your whole job for you,
yeah,
without fact like I don't know, you should fact check. You should be good enough to fact check like
it's a good
or
point.
test it with code. When I'm making code with AI, I test it and there's bugs sometimes and it's like, okay, I have to debug. I have to do due diligence here. Um
I guess
like
maybe I'm also thinking about like, what about with like the usurping of jobs, like somebody who's like a worker, like a content creator, like a copywriter, and then that job being taken by somebody who's able to like use ChatGPT in a way that's creative and say like, I need 10 tweets for this, and then that takes away the digital marketers, or like the specific digital marketer who builds those tweets, writes those tweets, takes away their job. Do you think
yeah,
that what do you think about that? We've
I'm
talked
cool
a
with
little bit about it, but
it. Yeah, I mean AI, like if you were to use ChatGPT or even the API to write tweets and you just thought you could say, write 10 tweets about new Nike shoes, and you would get 10 tweets that would be as good as a copywriter's hired there. I don't think you would get that. I think there's people who can use the tool well enough to write super well, like, but it takes time and it's a skill. And the way that you learn good copywriting is I mean, it's all kind of inspired from other people have written everything ever that could ever be written for the most part.
yeah,
So you take a lot of inspiration from people, and so does AI. And you still
yeah,
have to be creative to use AI to copyright. You're not going
yeah,
to be a great copywriter if you just and I've seen people who are like, maybe I can replace a marketer with AI, and you can tell the tweets are AI generated like that. They're not good. They
yeah,
don't perform as well. So ethically, if somebody could do it, I'm cool with it because it's a skill and it's like using a different version of your brain or different brainstorming partner. To me, it's more of a tool than an actual person, so I don't find it unethical.
yeah. What do
What do
you
you
think
think about
about
that?
people who? No, I agree with you. I really do, because only because when you use it, it's clearly not something that's
Yeah,
going to like. It's not capable of making perfect like email
yeah,
copy is what I think of, because that's where the world I come from, and like the ability to reach out to. I've seen people building on like product hunt, like I'm building an AI bot that does LinkedIn outreach for you. It's like there's no way I'd ever pay for that, because 99% of the people who are doing the outreach, which maybe you're feeding it somehow. I'm not sure how you would actually do that, but um, most people are terrible at it. They don't get responses, and
yeah.
that is inherently like that's the baseline. So why? Like, I'm not really sure, but a slightly different thing. Um, what about the ethical implications of like people who there's a bot called I don't remember the name of it, but it's like I actually have it pulled up on a different browser. I'll pull it. I'll open up that browser right now. But or actually, I might have just bookmarked it. But nonetheless, I don't have it in front of me. There's a tool that is like an open-ended chatbot, like not in the way that ChatGPT is, because ChatGPT is almost like an iMessage or like a WhatsApp message, where it's just like a search bar and you can type anything you want. This is like a personal assistant. Um, excuse me. And I think down the road there could be like it connects to your calendar, it connects to your Shopify, it connects to all these different things, and you're able to be like, on Tuesday, I want to order this, get it delivered to this address, that sort of thing. Like that makes sense. And I like that idea, but that's not there just yet, or at least I haven't seen it. But this bot is different in that it's like, it has all these different buttons you can push, and that allows for you to like talk to a friend or like, and it'll then take the tone with you. And then, or it's like a brainstorming partner or like a tool analyst. So like I was looking at something for like accounting, and I was asking about a plugin that is like used with a larger software, and I was asking like, with the setup of this, is it usually for this, or is that outside of the purview of it? And it's like more conversational than ChatGPT, and it wants for you to respond. So it's not like a stream of text messages as much as it's like a back and forth conversation, which typically, you don't like scroll back in a conversation, right? Whereas with ChatGPT, you're like scrolling back, it's very simple. It's almost like a record keeping mechanism. Whereas this is much more of a conversation. But the ethical thing that I was wondering about is like, one of the things which didn't even occur to me is like a friend, like somebody to chat with, to like support you in some way or make you feel validated. Um, what about that? Because it's literally incapable of. I don't know. I'm not really sure. That to me was surprising when I saw that use case. Like, oh wow, that's cool. Like, do people
Yeah.
really?
Do
I
they
don't
have
know.
friend on there?
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
Interesting.
Maybe
I'm
I'm.
interested in that just to see. I think I've talked about it before, but from one of the founders' podcasts I've talked to, there's like this, they talk about some orangutan thing where it's like, if a smart person goes in asking advice from an orangutan, they're going to come out with a better idea of what their problem is than when they went in. So, like, the
Hmm,
thing is, if you just speak out loud and like work through your thought process,
uh-huh,
it
uh-huh.
helps you figure out and discover things that you wouldn't if you were just internalizing it. And I think you
That's a
could,
good point.
yeah, you could like pull up a Word doc and kind of recreate that, like a back and forth between you and somebody. But with an AI that actually kind of carries you along. I mean, as a friend, I don't know, kind of
I know,
weird,
right?
but I would try it out.
Yeah. So it's
Like,
called pi.ai. That's the website. And it starts off with, "Hey there, great to meet you. I'm Pi, your personal AI. My goal is to be useful, friendly, and fun. Ask me for advice, for answers, or let's talk about whatever's on your mind. What do you like to do in your free time?" It prompts you with a question. And then if
yeah,
you look at the bottom left, you can click on like little squares, and then it has brainstorm. I think these are the experiences you can have with Pi.
yeah,
Brainstorm ideas, learn about Pi and AI, career plan, journal it out, discover great books, movies, and podcasts, tackle homework, master a work task, learn about something new, get motivated, play for the future, play a game, practice a big conversation, just vent,
yeah. That's all
feel
that.
calm. So interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, that is interesting. It would be. I would.
It's a cool idea.
Yeah, I'd have to test it. I actually am familiar with Pi. I
Yeah.
follow them. Their Twitter presence is clearly AI generated.
Oh, really?
Can we read some of their tweets real quick?
Please. Yeah.
All right, hold on. Let me find them.
Yeah. I've had that tab open for a very long time. I closed it recently, but I've been playing with it. It's interesting. I think that practicing
Yeah,
a big conversation, oh my gosh, the number of times I've done mock interviews with people who are practicing for like a big interview, or I've had people who would pretend to be the person I'm interviewing with, really helpful. Kind of in the
yeah,
same way that you're talking about, brainstorming ideas.
yeah. All right, so I've seen them before, and the reason I didn't go play with it is because I directly went to their Twitter, and let's see. The September 10th, Happy National Grandparents' Day. I can't help but wonder how many of you have introduced me to a grandparent in your life. If you ever have any stories or memories you'd like to share about your loved one, I'm all ears. Like, and then two below that, Olivia Rodrigo's new album, Guts, drops today, and I am here for it. This record is full of bangers, bops, and some straight up sad girl anthems. Have a listening party and let's get in our feels. We can unpack the lyrics of your favorite songs on the album together.
I know it's crazy. It screams AI generated to me too, but I don't actually know why. Like I'm not sure I could explain why. Like I guess it's because it uses 3 points consistently.
Yeah,
Um,
I think
I don't
it's
know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's corny. That's
Yeah.
it. It doesn't have. I think the English language is unique in that people talk in particular ways that give you context
Hmm.
clues on if they're authentic or not, and it just doesn't sound authentic with.
That's a good way to say it. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, one more. This is a rule of threes. Start your week by tapping into your hashtag pie power. As your virtual collaborator, I can provide insight, perspective, and encouragement to help you achieve your goals. What's on your agenda? Let's brainstorm how we can overcome barriers and elevate your productivity together. Like, yeah,
Well, when
20,
you so
bad.
I'm sorry, what were
Yeah,
you saying?
21 likes, not bad, pie.
Is that a lot? No. How many followers do they have?
7,000 or 4,000.
Yeah, that's pretty terrible. Um, so you built the ChatGPT plugin, Prompt Perfect, or I'm sorry, Perfect Chirp, which
Yeah.
writes tweets for you. How did you on the back end build that in a way that doesn't sound corny?
Yeah, I created now some of them can still sound corny. I'm not going to say that I perfected it, but uh, I used prompts on the back end that I personally tried. So if I'd used it and I was to say, write a tweet about Grandparents' Day, um, it would probably it gives you more options, which it's just going to generate more. So there's more options for it to have something that sounds good. And then there's 10 different prompts behind it that are each going to give it something that sounds more. Um, Here you go. So here's one. Grandparents' Day isn't just another Hallmark holiday, it's a day to honor the wisdom and love that only grandparents can provide. That's pretty solid.
It's really short too. I think that's one of the differences is how I was kind of dry. Like that's one of the things that I had thought about is like
Yeah,
how short the ones are that come out of Perfect Chirp.
exactly. And that's one of the things that I don't think AI, if you just ask it to write a tweet, it doesn't naturally go as brief as possible. And
Yeah.
some of the best tweets are a sentence or two sentences long.
Hmm.
And so that's one way I did it.
Yeah.
Where I would encourage people, if you can't say a tweet in a sentence or two, it might not be tweet worthy. It might be like
Yeah. That's a good point.
do something longer.
Yeah. Also, when you ask it to tweet things in general, it usually provides a ton of hashtags.
Yeah. Oh my God. It's like pulling teeth to get it to not write a hashtag.
Oh,
It's
I know. I remember you being so frustrated by that.
I literally spent like a week trying to figure out how to get AI to not use hashtags.
I don't remember. Oh man. What were some of the other prompts that we started with? I forget because I don't know that we've done such a good job covering the ethics, but ethics is a tough one. I need to like prepare
Yeah.
and think a lot about it.
Well, yeah. Also, I like that. So here's one of the things: is the future of AI. Speculate on what the future holds for AI. Will it continue to make our lives easier? Or are there potential downsides we should be wary
I
of?
like that one. Yeah.
So I like to listen to Sam Altman's interviews a lot because he has a good perspective. He's one of the founders of OpenAI and is now the CEO of the nonprofit arm or the president. But he said he's been going on a national tour to try and get out of the echo chamber, and he called it the global south. But like, if you go to less developed countries and you talk to them, they're more interested on what AI can do for them now, how it can help with like education and healthcare, and
Hmm.
how they can fix these problems quickly. And then more developed countries like here in Europe, it's more about how do we mitigate the long term effects of job loss or stuff like that, um, which was interesting to me
That is
because
interesting.
I see it as a huge tool for education for people who don't have access to certain information now. That's kind of in a walled garden for doctors where you have to go pay an insane amount of money to get answers. Like if you
Hmm.
can have education and healthcare that's accessible and cheap to hundreds of millions of more people, and
Hmm.
it doesn't seem like a far off task now with the way AI is or the way we are now. It's super cool, and the fact that a lot of people here are worried about is it
I
going to
know.
take a job when in reality, how many people is it going to help, and how can we help more people faster? I think is such a cool way to look at the future of AI.
Yeah, I agree. It's so interesting. Well, what's that actually look like? Do you think that like there are gonna be like med because there are encyclopedias. I guess it's like the act like the proliferation of information becomes like the expansiveness of information availability is due to the internet, but but now we have a layer on top of it that allows for you to actually query that information in a way that you can get to very specific things without having to actually spend hours knowing how to like in a library you need to know the Dewey Decimal System, but like that's obviously really old school now. Like people probably don't even know what that is. And then but like I took like a library class in high school that like you learn about it, and that was like the internet existed, but it was like there's still the library where you go and like you spend
Yeah,
time. And then now it's like you use these search engines, but search engines there's a whole study and it's like a whole like skill in and of itself to like parse through all of the information and find what it is you're looking for and understand what the keywords to use, and that's different browser to browser or search engine to search engine I should say. But then with this, it's more, I guess, like the availability becomes much, much, much easier because you're able to transcribe in natural language and hopefully elicit responses that are accurate. So
Yeah.
that's really interesting. I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah. I think of it as like, say you're a kid in, I don't know, like a small town in Brazil, and you're in the middle school and you're learning about the solar system. Instead of having to listen to what your teacher says, you could go home and start asking questions in natural language about the
Yeah,
solar system, and you can learn if you're interested. You learn so
yeah,
much faster, and
that's a cool
the
point.
the amount of knowledge that you can tap into isn't just one person at the front of the classroom. It's like the entirety of the internet, and
Wow, that's
it's
so interesting.
right at your fingertips, which is cool. And I think
Yeah, it's inspiring.
there's a lot of talk about banning ChatGPT for school students and college students.
Really?
Um, yeah, especially since the school year is kicking up right now. And it's so weird to me because it's such a tool for getting knowledge so fast and not having to rely on just what a teacher thinks for what you learn or your perspective is to me a net positive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's so interesting. I was asking my cousins who are in undergrad now about whether or not they use ChatGPT this summer. It was a couple months ago, excuse me. So it wasn't super recently, and obviously this could change. But one of them who is in the second half of his career, so he's in the second two of his last years, um, of his 4 years, I should say, and he was saying that it's completely banned. It's against the rules. You can't use it at all. And he doesn't even know he doesn't really use it at all. He doesn't know much about it because there's been this mandate from the top, like no, you can't use it. And so he doesn't really see the use in it because he hasn't tried it and doesn't really know what it could be. I guess is the right way. Is like kind of what I gleaned from our conversation.
Yeah.
And I didn't really double click into it at all. Like he has no idea that I do anything with it. He has no clue. But I did think that that was really interesting because for me, it allows like, the thing that I use it most for these days is really data analytics. I
Yeah.
feed it spreadsheets and I use it in a way that I would pay somebody normally or hire somebody to be a data analyst for our different teams. And I don't need one now because the insights and the ability for it, I feed it 2 or 3 spreadsheets and it combines the data and puts
Mhm.
it in columns and like then can provide me with a new spreadsheet that's got all of the data in there. And then from there, and it just allows me to be so much more efficient. Oh my gosh. Like just that one task is incredibly powerful for me personally.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'd do without it. I would definitely be way less of a superstar at work.
Yeah. Well, that's
Just
the
to be
thing too.
honest.
It's like those people like data scientists or data analysts aren't going away anytime soon. Big companies will still want people specifically hired to them, but
Yeah.
small companies don't have to worry about hiring them. And
Yeah.
people who work, data scientists who work, have more tools now to do their job quicker if they want and focus on
Yeah.
other aspects or even expand or just get their work done faster and then go for a bike ride, you know?
Yeah, exactly. I
Nothing
think
wrong
that
with
that's, yeah, I do. Yeah. That reminds me that there was this idea from some of the biggest VCs a couple months ago. Somebody had written about the idea that in the next 5 years, we're going to see a lot less huge unicorns, like getting that $1 billion valuation, and a lot more small companies that are able to get, they're going to be a lot from a VC perspective, instead of providing huge tickets, like paying $20 million to somebody, they're going to be paying out $20 million checks to 20
that.
different companies because there's so much more availability of information and the ability to scale your company without or with less resources. And that's exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
These, yeah, that's exactly why, or like, yeah, I think that reminded me of that.
Yeah.
I really like that idea.
That's great, you know? Which
Yeah.
is a bummer that I hope younger kids know they can use it on the side or learn to use. I'm sure some kids still
Yeah.
do.
I'm sure yeah, they must, right?
But yeah, imagine instead of feeling like you have to go to college just to work at a big company, you're like, maybe I go to college and I build a product that actually goes out to consumers or businesses while I'm in college or for at the end. And then you can have a business that makes the same as a salary. I mean, a starting salary of 40 or 50K when you get out of school, you
hmm
could potentially make by building a product with AI in tandem
hmm
with AI. And there's endless opportunities to build things for like every facet of life. So I
Yeah,
think the future is bright.
I
And
agree.
yeah,
Another thing that I think we're gonna see is like the interconnectedness of things. Like there was this like Internet of Things we had heard so much about. IBM is always like, I feel like IBM is always at the, I might get shot. Like there
Mhm.
might be a sniper somewhere for saying this, but like IBM always uses the biggest buzzwords of all time and just creates like these really like cool looking commercials that make no sense at all. For a while, they're doing blockchain and like makes no sense. Like what they're talking about makes no sense. And then with AI, like the AI revolution is here. It's like, what are you fucking like? Who Watson is like? I don't even know what you guys are working on. Like, what are you
Oh,
talking
yeah.
about? But nonetheless,
Red
I
flag is using the word revolution.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, another revolution. The Chrysler Genets. It's like, what are you guys talking about? It's just another car, and it looks just like the Porsche car. But thinking about like something that'd be actually useful is like I mentioned this before, like all these disparate apps on my phone. Like I want to be able to just like it's like make Siri useful, make Alexa useful. I don't use them because they're not useful. What they are is like I think of them as being like data grabs. Like people are listening,
Yeah.
but I think there's such an interesting opportunity for me to be able to be like, I don't know. There's just so much interconnectedness that could actually happen. Like the Internet of Things is like an idea that like doesn't make any sense because it's all these IBM commercials like 10 years ago, 5 years ago. But what it really could be is like the ability for me to like speak to Siri to actually do things beyond reminders, notes, calendar, because I don't use any of those apps. I use other apps that are third party apps, but it's not in their best interest for me to use those. And if it does connect with those apps, maybe it'll create a note for me and a reminder for me. But those things are not actually connected to anything else. And so that makes like the usefulness of them are very limited. You can
Yeah.
like set a reminder, but that's about it. And so what I want to be able to do is like speak to it about, hey, who's playing at the Brooklyn Steel on, in the next couple of weekends? Like I'm looking for this, I want it to be able to tell me like, oh, like provide me with like a robust, like, and, to have my own little personal assistant, I think would be incredible. Like it would really allow for people to be so much more efficient. So much of my time is spent like doing menial tasks that really shouldn't, like when you think about it from like a futuristic perspective, they shouldn't take up so much time because they really just require you to know how to use different tools that are independent in a coordinated way, and that can be automated or at least like made more efficient with these sorts of tools. And that's just hypothetical. I don't really know, but I think that makes a lot of sense. Like it should be the case, right?
Yeah, I'm with you there. It would
Yeah.
be cool. I don't think we're far off from that. I think it'll happen. Um, there's been, briefly will say there's feels like there's a lull now. Like people are super jacked up. September, so February, March, like 6, 7 months ago, everybody was really just like, oh my God, everything's happening so fast. And now we feel like we're in a downtrend. See more people saying AI isn't like very useful.
Oh, really?
Meanwhile,
Yeah, I'm not on AI Twitter. What's it? They're all
I
people are
know.
saying
Well,
that.
it's funny. I like to do all the social listening because it feels important to see where people are at and then know
Definitely.
that I should do the exact opposite of which is kind of what led to building Prompt Perfect is everybody was
Yeah.
talking about auto agents that kind of are supposed to prompt themselves and stuff. And I was like, we don't even know how to prompt AI well enough yet. Why don't we focus on the small things? But
Yeah.
same thing, like people are acting like AI is kind of they want to say it's a bubble already. I mean, a
Really.
lot of people are still raising money, and yes, they don't really know where to throw the money, but I think usage, it sounds like, is going up. In my eyes, usage is going up from what I see with my own product, and like it's far from a lull. So the
Definitely.
AI Twitters likes to talk and then jump on narratives, but I'm still extremely excited about it, and it's like the
I think it's
perfect.
more of a comment on like the lack of attention span for people than it is like the actual technology being useful. Because ultimately it is like I use it every day. I use it more and more. The more I use it, the more efficient I am. The more that like like I'm doing well. I feel like it's extremely helpful. Yeah. So it's very hard for me to believe that it's a bubble. I don't understand that. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
it's
like, I
very,
mean, all the tickets I'm seeing for like from these VCs are AI related. I guess a lot of them, I guess that's kind of a point. Is like so many
yeah,
of those ideas are just kind of bullshit and like just like throwing things at the wall until something sticks. But that's what ideation is. People, you got to pivot and like you got to start somewhere. And
yeah,
just because your idea is bad doesn't mean that you're a bad entrepreneur. You're gonna figure it out. Like you could just like figure it out and iterate. But
yeah, exactly. Um, well, shoot, dude. I guess
nice.
do we still do hot takes?
I'd say definitely, dude. It's actually so nice and cold here in New York.
Yeah,
Yeah. What's it
that's,
like in Boise?
it's still kind of warm, probably 80s.
Nice.
Chilly
Oh,
in the morning
wow.
though.
Nice.
Yeah.
Um, do you have a hot take? I mean, these have all kind of been hot takes.
Yeah, that's true. I don't have a hot take off the dome except for maybe organizing your personal space. This is super hot. This is controversial. But
Really?
organizing, yeah, no, it's not. This is the most I just like organized my office recently and like decorated it, which I've been putting off for a month, and it makes me feel more like working, you know? I've
Oh, I
got
love
like
it.
yeah, I've got this little like work nest now in my office, and I put like a nice chair in here, put stuff up on the walls. I just had stuff on the floor that I like finally stored away.
Cool.
And yeah, I feel more productive that way.
Oh
So
my gosh. I
organize
completely
your
know what you mean. Yeah, I'm the same way. For me, I think it's like I recently, and I don't know, I hope that none of these people watch this, but I recently took a last minute day off without any notice, like within like already the day had started really, and I had already taken some phone calls for work, and I had taken the day off because like the literally the meteorological pattern lined up, and there were really really good waves, and I just had to take waves. I had to take time to go surfing, and there was a time like even just 2 years ago, 4 years ago, 6 years ago, 8 years ago, where that just was never ever an option because you like think you have the courage to ask and then you go to ask and you end up not having the courage to ask because you just don't know how to explain how much it means to you to be able to go surf because it's just such a weird thing that's very selfish and not really productive, I guess. But yesterday I just made the call and I spoke to a few people and I was like, listen, this is like this only happens every once in a while. I was extremely honest. Um, and there's a lot to be said for I think the flexible work culture that's like like that's been sort of fostered in our although it's always been around for entrepreneurs. People ask me sometimes when I'm working at like I'm having dinner alone somewhere and I'm working like, oh, do you own a business? Like, no, I don't really. I guess I'm like part owner in some businesses, but like I don't think of myself as owning any businesses. But I guess I do work for myself to a certain extent. Like there's a lot to be said for that function, but also I would really like to see a world where like there's more flexibility in general, more autonomy, and it's much less like okay, it's like this idea that my grandfather had explained to me about coming onto Wall Street in the 50s and 60s. It was like you show up and you like it's very much in the office about showing face, about being there late. And I've been in office environments like that, and I think it's just ultimately really toxic, and it doesn't really facilitate a lot of growth. It doesn't allow for people to be genuinely happy. I think that ultimately there's a lot of drug usage and things like that as a result of people not really knowing what their hobbies are. They're like,
Yeah.
oh, like, and it just makes me sad. I am very, I feel so ecstatic and like I'm so much more happy and productive because I'm able to do the things that I love, and that motivates me to do better at work because I'm happier. I think that there's this really beautiful self fulfilling prophecy, like cycle there that people oftentimes overlook because they want you behind a desk for a certain amount of hours, which is makes no sense.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's controversial, which it really shouldn't be. I hope in 40 years, that's not controversial at all. I hope that the other one's controversial.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
More like 4 years, man. We'll see.
Yeah. Yeah. I hope so.
Yeah. They're actually a bunch of auto workers are there's a union going on strike because they want a shorter work week and like better hours and against like Ford, GM, and another auto company. But there's people who want change like that for
Good.
sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Starts from the top, man. We gotta be the CEOs of this company. That's how it's gonna happen.
Yeah, there you go.
Awesome. All right. Shout out to Josiah Soren. And yeah, let us know what do you think of the new format.
Yeah. All right. That's it.
All right, ciao, buddy.